going to jump right into some things. And I'm going to take just a moment, because I got the microphone, but to officially introduce myself. I'm Darlene Walker, and I'm with the National Black Child Development Institute, and I am also the CEO and founder of Catapult Parent Education. And so I thank Pastor Kenny and all of those who were involved in asking me to be the moderator this evening. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to hear what the candidates all have to say. And we're going to go ahead and jump on into it from here, okay? So what I'm going to do, just in case there are some people who are just not as familiar, I'm going to call your name, and you can just raise your hand so that everybody can identify you. And I'm going to go according to Pastor's list. So Mr. Randy Bowman, Aaron Weaver, Latoya Fleming, okay, Ms. Fleming's not here, Hope Harper, Chris Bowman, Billy Hobbs, Jimmy Gray, Carolyn Campbell, Janice Richardson, Chelsea Greenwood, and Michelle Taylor Farabee. Okay, did I miss anybody? Everybody get called out. All righty, great, great, great. And so what we're going to do, so that we can kind of get as many of our questions in as possible, we're going to ask 3 main questions, and then we're just going to go down the list. And you can raise your hand if you'd like to speak to that question. And somewhere in there, I may just kind of point at you and just ask you to give us your answer. So you kind of wound up being voluntold a little bit, okay? All righty. And so we'll start with something real simple, really, really simple. And this is something that everybody should be able to say, okay? 3 minutes. Thank you, Hope, for reminding me. Candidates have 3 minutes to speak, and then there's going to be a bell. The trustee's going to ring a bell, and when you hear that bell, that means you're done. So let's not have to do Sandman and come out with the hook and take you from your seat. So when you hear the bell, just go ahead and wrap it up, okay? One of the other things I'd like to mention in that, too, is that we're going to stick to the points. Keep the main thing the main thing. We won't be talking any negativity or pointing out anything about what someone did not do, should have done, could have done, would have done kind of stuff, okay? We're going to keep the main thing the main thing. All right? Okay. We have someone coming in?
Ms. Belgrade.
All right. Okay. And your name is? All right, Ms. Belgrade. All righty. Yes, please, mute your phones. Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Aaron, can you have me my pen? Thank you. Please mute your phones. All right. So our first question, what are your favorite places to spend time in Hampton? And we're going to start. Oh. I did say raise your hand, Ms. Bowman, but we're going to start with Mr. Weaver here and just go right on down the road for this one. For you all to just let us know, what are your favorite places to spend time in Hampton? And I'll even kick it off. Buckrow Beach is my favorite place. I love the beach, and so that's my favorite spot, even though I'm not running for office or anything like that. So.
My favorite place would be Fort Monroe. That's my favorite place, whether it's the boardwalk itself, the 5-mile boardwalk, or also on top of the fort. We used to, as a family, we used to walk around on top of the fort as well. That's my favorite place in the city.
All right.
I have several, but I think my neighborhood, Colonial Acres, is probably first. I spend the most time there when I'm not involved with city council or other work. Nice, quiet neighborhood. Been there for 20 years, and all of the neighbors know each other. Outside of coming out the neighborhood, I love to go to Phoebus. I love the Main Street feel of Phoebus, the historic buildings, the restaurants, the art galleries. I'm a regular at several of the art galleries in the Phoebus area. So those are two of my favorite places to spend in Hampton.
All right, one of my favorite places, and it's near and dear to me. I found out about this place about 7 years ago, and they have the best smothered pork chops and turkey wings. So it's Bowman's Soul in the Wall. So I will say this, I have met so many wonderful people behind those four walls, and we do so much for the community. I've been there a few times. And I met Mr. Gray. So from that, different leaders will come through, different pastors, just in having that building to be available for anyone to use. I've met some incredible people, and that will be one of my favorite places that I can say I enjoy.
All right.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the bridge builders for having this forum and for giving us a nice, easy question to get going. I think it's going to get a little more live than that. But I appreciate you all getting us relaxed and learn a little bit more about us. Any place that I can see the water. And I love when I just had my hip replaced back in June, but my husband and I used to walk out every Sunday on Fort Monroe, and we had a little 4-mile trek that we did. I love Buckrow Beach and any place, any restaurant that I go to that I can just look out over the water. And I just love Hampton. Thank you.
Good evening. My favorite place is on the water. We live in Elizabeth Lakes, and we have a boat behind the house. We go out on the water. We go fishing, go riding on the boat. Fort Monroe, I'm on the board of UCL Virginia, so we get the kids out on the water, so we're out on the water. Fort Monroe, out on the water. Paradise Social Club, out on the water. You kind of get the theme here, but I love being out on the water. Anything outside, any of the trails, any of the parks, love to go hiking. Boy Scout mom, outside, that's where you'll find me. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Janice Richardson. I have 3 places. The first place, I came out here to go to Hampton University. I came with my father. He's military. He's retired. We went to Fort Monroe. And so it has a special place for me because that's where my father and I walked when I first got here. So I love going to Fort Monroe. It's just tied to the military. The other place is I've been in Oldwood for 37 years. Chesapeake Avenue is my favorite place. I've been walking up and down Chesapeake Avenue for 37 years. Was just there this past weekend with my nephew, fell off the bicycle, doing okay, but love Chesapeake Avenue. And I love to eat at Surf Rider, one of my most favorite restaurants.
This is a tough one for me because I just love being in Hampton, period. I mean, this is my home. But some of my most favorite places in Hampton, I got several. Langley Speedway, when we got cars out there that are going fast and zooming around the track and having problems, I enjoy being out there. I've been out there since I was 15 years old, working on cars and sponsoring cars, and I love being around cars. And also, almost any baseball field, if you put me behind the plate, I'm happy. I just love baseball. And one of my favorite areas in Hampton right now, I live off Simple Farm Road, and I just like it out there. I like the wildlife. I don't like getting the snakes out of a garage every now and then and stuff like that, but I love that area out there because it's one of the few places we've got where we've got some wooded area, and it's going away fast. But I'm pretty much happy anywhere in Hampton, y'all.
Thank you. A few places I enjoy in Hampton. I'm a history buff, so I love that Hampton is a historic town, and I love any of the historic places that are in Hampton. Fort Monroe just happens to be my favorite because of the history, particularly the first African landing, doing research there, and just being out there and envisioning things happening out there. Buckrow Beach is one of my favorites because that's where me and my godson would go when he was young, and he used to be so scared of the water, and till the point that he got so comfortable with the water that he went in with his clothes on into the water. But that's one of the places that I enjoy, and just being outside.
All right. Can you send that mic back down and utilize those mics right near you? Send that one back down.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be part of the community. I love all of Hampton, but it will always be my starting point. Soft faith in the park.
Hold on, Ms. Graham. switch mics. That one's, just that mic in front of Mr. Hobbs, please.
So use
Yes, just, there you go. You were in and out with that mic. Turn it on. Trustee, take care. No. No, you were fine, just needed to turn it on. Is it on? Sounds like it.
If I can speak loudly, but Buffalo always came near and dear to my heart. It's where I started my first business. It's where my children learned to love my business and be a part of my business. However, I love Fort Monroe. My business currently is in Fort Monroe. It's beautiful, like Ms. Harper said. The history out there is huge to Hampton, to its residents. However, I am a Phoebus homeowner, and I love being in Phoebus. My favorite memories in Hampton are being able to walk to many restaurants in Phoebus. My all-time favorite would be watching my son play on the baseball field when he was little.
All right, all right. Okay.
Was born and raised between Buckrow and Fox Hills. I'm very partial to Buckrow Beach and Grandview Beach. Also like the Langley Speedway. Switch out. The Peninsula Pilot Stadium, the American Theater in Phoebus, all the wonderful shops and wonderful restaurants in Phoebus. I really enjoy them a lot.
All right,
Thank you.
all right. Last but not least,
Hello, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for having us here.
all right.
Yes, well, I do enjoy Buckrow Beach a lot because I have dogs, so I go there and walk them, walk around with them. Rollerblades, so another place that I go to when I'm, releasing stress and all that is where the Coliseum area is. It's really good to rollerblade around there. Fort Monroe is another one as well that I go to and rollerblade over there, walk the dogs, and where I live, which is close to Riverdale, where actually it's not close, it's actually in Riverdale. It's in the borderline right there. There is a Christian school right there, very close to my house, and I can see the kids playing soccer and all that, and I really, when I walk around my neighborhood, my dogs, I really enjoy that and the safety and, the good environment and seeing how we take care of each other.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Everybody brought up some good things, but I think I heard Buckrow Beach the most. So that's a good spot. So as we move forward, please be sure that all attention is given to the preservation of Buckrow Beach. Okay? So now we're going to move into our second question, and I'm going to move around because there were a lot of questions, and we don't want to just get stuck, so I'm just going to call on you. And so our this next question rather is, what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member? And I'll start with our last, Ms. Belgrave, I believe it is. I'll start with you. What do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Okay, well, thank you so much for that question. Well, first, for me to accomplish anything, first I need to listen to what it needs to be accomplished. Just walking in there and say, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'd like to see first what is on the table, and then what we can do once I'm there, what we can do once I have access to really the information and the policies and the law, how much we can do. So yes, what I want to accomplish, I want to make sure that we're safe, first of all. I want to make sure that the schools have their budget they need. I want to make sure that our recreational areas with enough monitoring, people, again, safety, and they're open, and that the youth have opportunities to have programs after school, to have a vibrant city. It's an encircling kind of mission here that I will have once I'm there. Make sure Hampton has the opportunity to keep moving forward so we can be vibrant, we can have diversity, we are united, we know each other. So all programs that ties that type of city, that's what I'll be there, listening to and what we can do.
All right. Thank you. All right. Ms. Greenwood? We're gonna be picking as we move through, so we can kind of get all the questions in. Yeah.
Can everyone hear? You can hear me now.
Yeah.
So I've been listening for the last couple of years, especially as a mom of 3 and a small business owner. I think my number one, I know my number one priority is community and how we bring individuals together to understand what their needs are, and everyone's needs are different, but I think if we can kind of focus there on what the majority of folks are screaming out for and figure out ways to apply that on city council, I think we can better everyone just by listening and by applying the needs on all levels to build from the bottom up. And I love what Michelle said previously about we rise by lifting others. I think that's extremely important. So if we have that mindset that no concern is too small, no issue is too great, we have to look at everything together as a team and to bring us all together as a community and focus on moving forward and moving together as a community to hear every voice and every concern. So.
All righty. And you can come right on down to Ms. Richardson.
Hello, I have 3 areas I hope to achieve. One is to decrease crime. I think that we have to focus on what's in front of us that we are seeing every day, and we have to come up with some type of strategies to make our city better. When we're happy, the city's happy. The other thing is revenue. We have to increase our revenue. I remember taking class at William Mary and asking the professor, we had to do research on who was paying the most taxes, and at the time, Hampton was at the top in the state. And I asked, why is it that Hampton is paying so much more than any other city? And he says, because the resources. You think about resources. Williamsburg has the largest outdoor living museum. They had Busch Gardens, Water Country. Virginia Beach, you got the beach. Norfolk, you got the largest naval base. You also got the port. But Hampton doesn't have enough revenue to say that we can have taxes that are lower. So that's one area. But my biggest thing that is in my heart is science and technology. We bring in 160,000 immigrants every year to come in and do science that our kids can do. And as an educator, we work extremely hard. Hampton has probably one of the best education systems in the country. But sometimes our students don't connect with the math and the science. So what if we had resources in the evening that they can go to become successful, so that we see our children going into the medical field, the science field, so they can be productive members of society, just like anybody else. So my goal is to have something for them so that they have something to look forward to in the field of math and science.
All right. Ms. Campbell?
So my slogan is a breath of fresh air, accountability, integrity, and respect. The accountability is our tax dollars and our red tape. So we can do things. I'm a business owner and a certified program manager. We can do the same thing more efficiently in some places. So that will allow us to lower taxes or do other programs. Doesn't mean cuts, it just means do it more efficiently. I also think that we have a lot of red tape. There are businesses that are leaving because there's so much red tape. You know, one business took 2 years to open. You just can't do that. And then a lot of the innovative ideas that some of the younger kids want, or younger, okay, kid is relative. Okay, younger people want, the laws, the red tape is stopping them from doing what they want. So the kids aren't staying. So the goal for me then is to lower the taxes, do it more efficiently, and get the red tape gone so that we can keep the businesses so they can pay more taxes and also help lower our taxes. Accountability, integrity, respect, integrity in our council members, respect. I'm also a policeman's daughter, so I'm very much into crime. I know we're understaffed. It takes a lot of time to get those policemen in and going, so we need to get that rolling so that we get the police in. I'm also big on the environment. I mentioned the water and being outdoors, Boy Scout mom. So very much for the environment. And then education. I think our students, our parents, and our teachers I want to make sure we have a good relationship between our city council and our school board right now, and I want to maintain that and keep that going so that the kids get what they need.
All right, all right. Ms. Farabee?
Thank you. Livability is very important to me, and that's something that I want to build upon, that is things that have already been taking place within the city through the leadership of the city council that we currently have. Definitely want to continue with the 100% accredited schools that have a 98% graduation rate. Safety is very important, continuing to look at methodologies to reduce crime. Heard from students yesterday at our prom that they had for the city council. The students want to feel safe in school. So we want to make sure that we have services in the city to address the needs of our community, including making it easier for our businesses to set up in the city of Hampton. Very important, building upon the science, technology, engineering, and math focus. We have NASA here. We have, right in our city, we have Hampton University. We have Virginia Peninsula Community College. There are certification programs through the academies. It's very important that when we educate our children in the city, that we have jobs for them, which means we need to focus on getting more technology startup companies in the city with good paying jobs. 30% of the federal workforce is going to be eligible to retire within 5 years. So we need to get our students ready to take over the jobs that we already have and create more jobs, get more businesses in here to level out our taxes, to lower our taxes and keep a balanced tax portfolio. We're not going to be here if we don't continue to address coastal resilience, okay? We're going to be underwater. I think everybody probably knows that by now. We should be able to partner with NASA and our universities on the peninsula and south side to continue to come up with methodologies to address our coastal resilience. So those are the main areas that I feel like I can contribute to.
All right. Mr. Randy Bowman.
All right, my areas of concern would first of all be building economic development, followed by affordable homes, and lastly, safety. So let's go down the list. As a business owner, I look around when I drive around this town, and we have a lot of deserted buildings. So in my first business I opened up, it was deserted. I cleaned it up, fixed it up, and now it's a place that people can come and enjoy themselves, and it provides jobs. The second place I just opened 3 months ago, very deserted. It was an eyesore. I cleaned it up, and I hired all youth to run the business. So with that, with the business mindset, my goal is to make sure that we can assist small business owners to open their businesses. Small business is big business, and with that, we can grow the economy. Now let's talk about our safety. We have a new police chief, Mr. Jimmy Wideman. He's doing an outstanding job. Every time we hear 1 or 2 shootings, we get in a frenzy, but let's look at the numbers. We have decreased crime by 50%. And on top of that, we have a graduating class coming out. That's going to bring more police officers to be more vigilant. So with more vigilant, then we're going to lower crime because people will be seeing the police. And then lastly, affordable homes. We need to make sure that we have affordable homes because we have 800 people that are getting ready for military to come to Hampton. We want them to come to Hampton. We want them to invest in Hampton. We want to talk about our schools and how they can have affordable housing. But if we don't have affordable housing, they're going to go elsewhere. There are a lot of opportunities that we have. My mother's house just burnt down in December. Total gut. I was the foreman of the job, and I took a rundown house and revitalized it, knocked walls out, painted the outside bricks, and my mom moves in tomorrow after the burnout. But we have realtors that are knocking the door down, wanting to buy the house before she moves in. So revitalization, it can happen. It can generate affordable homes.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver.
Okay, to start with, I want to things that we can directly address. So in terms of city council, it's a body. We're working in a body. First thing first is the police department. We have to become the #1 recruiters for that. But along with that, it's the neighborhood watch organizations, making sure we have the resources available if they ask for safety items like, let's say, Ring cameras in a high crime area, that we have the capabilities to do that. That's #1. #2, I want to make sure that our city is modernized. We are, let's look at City Hall, for example, 60-year-old building. It has its issues. It needs repairs and different things like that. We need to make that as green as possible. #3 is more towards affordable housing, but let's make sure we define what affordable housing is. 30% of people's income should be housing or less. So with affordable housing, revitalizing the houses that the stocks that we definitely do have, and also too, making sure we incentivize that if builders come in, that the houses are somewhat affordable in terms of that thing. So projects like that, even mixed-use projects can go a long way too. Those are some of the 3 key things that I want to do.
All right, thank you so much. All right, everyone. I hope everyone can hear. I hope everyone is digesting everything that's being said. I hope you all are comfortable giving your statements and so forth, because we're getting ready to dive into some more serious questions. So, as a legislative body for the city, what priorities do you feel the city should be most focused on? This will be the last time that I actually will call on you to answer the question, and after that, the next sets of questions you can raise your hand and speak on, and we'll acknowledge you from there. So this one would be the last one to call on. So with that being said, we'll start with Vice Mayor Gray. As a legislative body for the city, what priorities do you feel the city should be most focused on?
Well, we have several, and I can probably speak to some of the priorities that we are currently working on as a governing body. Creating safer spaces, neighborhoods, and in our city, and addressing violent crime. We have some strategies in place that our police department, our Office of Youth and Young Adult Opportunities, as well as other staff departments, are working collectively with nonprofit organizations in the community to address crime. We have some strategies where we're using credible messengers and working with nonprofit organizations. We're funding some of those nonprofits through grants, and we're seeing results in reducing crime. As Mr. Bowman mentioned, violent crime is down by 50% during the first half of this year as compared to the first half of the previous year. We can't claim victory yet on that, but we think that the strategies we're working are going to pay long-term dividends for us in terms of limiting the number of individuals in our community who are either going to commit a violent crime or be a victim of a violent crime. And we're doing that by being able to work with our police department, our courts and all, in identifying the individuals who fit the profile of either being a victim or a perpetrator of violent crime. And we're sending individuals in to work with strategists to prevent crimes before they happen, or to address crimes when they happen. Oftentimes, a violent crime occurs in the community. There's a retaliation that's expected that's going to happen. So one shooting leads to a second shooting because of the retaliation. But the individuals we're working with have been able to intervene on some of them. And that's why we're seeing reductions in violent crime in our community. Secondly, we're focusing on housing. And when we talk about housing in Hampton and affordable housing, there's housing needs across the spectrum of income levels. We have professionals who come to our community, they're working in healthcare, defense jobs, et cetera, but they move to other locations because Hampton doesn't have the higher value quality housing that they desire. I had one professional who came into the community. He had a family member who lives with him. He needed a 5-bedroom home in a nice neighborhood. We didn't have in Hampton what fits him. So we've been targeting certain areas of the city and trying to attract high value housing to fit those individuals' needs. But yet along the same line, we have a graduating college student who gets a good job, but yet maybe not able to afford a luxury apartment, but they don't want to live in a bad neighborhood. They want to live in a good neighborhood. And so we need to be able to support those individuals, the right kind of housing. So we're looking at diversifying our housing stock, and I think that's what we're focused on in terms of diversity of housing. And then lastly, I just want to say quickly is what's been mentioned, and that is our biggest threat and our biggest challenge at Hampton is climate change and sea level rise, and we're focused heavily on that with some of our projects and programs.
All right, thank you so much.
You want me to finish?
I don't know, is that bell, is that like
Yes, the bell, when the bell rings, that's it. That is it. You got like 3 more words to say after that.
All right, so the biggest collaboration piece for me.
Hold on, Ray. We're gonna point out a couple of people on this question, and then the next sets of questions after that, you all be able to raise your hand and speak to whatever you'd like. So, Mr. Hobbs, you would be next, then Hope, and then Mr. Chris Bowman, in that order.
I'm good?
You are good,
Okay.
Mr. Hobbs.
I'm a little hard of hearing, so I have to ask questions a lot. Just to pick up on what Vice Mayor Gray said, we work on affordable housing all the time. I grew up in public housing, and I know how important it is to have home ownership. And I can't tell you how excited my wife and I were. At 22 years old, we were able to buy our first house, and we bought that house. We moved on to a bigger house, and we raised our family. And now our family's out and gone, so now we're going to a smaller house, I hope, so that we can get down. It's just 2 of us left. But we've got to have that affordable housing. And what Jimmy was saying about having high-end housing, too, we do have professionals. I've got a son that's a pretty prominent attorney that lives in Jimmy's neighborhood, Colonial Acres, and he's got a nice house and all, but he's got 3 children, and he's looking for a little bit nicer house now, and he doesn't want to leave Hampton, and we don't have a whole lot of that, so we've got to focus on that, too. So there's so many things that we have to focus on, and we are focusing on. Having a safe place for our children to go out and do things. We had a youth commission meeting last night. We were talking to some of the children, and the children we were talking to, and they're pretty smart. They know that it costs $50 to $60 to go to a movie now. We need to have affordable things for our children to do. They've got to be challenged. They've got to be out in the public doing things. They've got to do things that are fun. They can't just play sports all the time. When I was growing up, I could go to a movie, and for like $1.25, I could go to a movie, get 2 hot dogs and a Coke, and a bus ride home. So we've got to do things like that for our children, too. We're not going to keep them here if we don't give them things to do. We've got beautiful places. If you want to see a good family atmosphere, go to Mama Rose's in Phoebus on Sunday night and see all the children there with their families. And it's just a good time. We need to create more situations like that for our children. So it's affordable housing, it's safe and clean communities. We've got to have places where they can go where it's affordable to our young people and keep our young people here. We're losing our young people to other communities that have all these things. And I understand that we still look at ourselves like a small fishing village at times. And we're kind of quaint, but we've got to expand our horizons. And we work on that on usually a weekly basis, just trying to find something that we can do to make life better for all our citizens here in Hampton.
All righty, thank you. Ms. Harper?
Thank you. Currently, as a legislative body, as it's been said, we are currently working on various things, but I think that we should continue with the strategic priorities that we currently have. We have 7 of them, but a couple of them that we are currently prioritizing is about youth gun violence. I think we're doing a great job going in the right direction with youth gun violence with our Hopeful Hampton initiatives, Operation Ceasefire, and one of them that I am very proud of is that we are expanding our summer youth employment program, which we are doing a pilot right now, where the students will continue to be employed throughout the year, and they will continue to learn brand new skills, get paid, develop relationships, and be less engaged in criminal activity. So I think, and it's going very, very well. So I'm looking forward to us expanding that even more to increase the children that are going to be coming into that. This past summer, we had over 150 students that were part of the actual summer youth employment program. So we are very, very proud of that. And economic development, we have vacant land in Hampton, to me, that stays a little bit vacant too long. So we need to definitely reach out to different developers, whether or not they're women, minority, for them to come to Hampton to look and see what we can, to have our vision become their vision as to what we can do here. And as someone that is currently on planning commission, that some of our zoning, that we are currently looking at, like accessory dwelling houses, some of the zoning ordinances that have been on the books for a little bit way too long. We need to look at those and see, because there's something new that's coming forth that we definitely want to come up to the times to allow people to have the opportunity to have an accessible dwelling home within the back of their house. Also, hotels. We had a hotel study done this year, and it was recognizable that we are in need of hotels in Hampton. We do recognize that, and we are definitely working hard to get them here. We do believe I think we need about 2 more full service ones, because Embassy Suites does need some competition. So we need 2 more full service ones, so that when different organizations come, they have conventions, they have conferences here, that we will have the hotels to sustain them, as well as tourism. We have Boo Williams, we have the Hampton Coliseum, we have the Aquaplex, that we will be able to accommodate those people coming to those places.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. All righty, you can pass that right down to Mr. Bowman.
Yeah, I think one of the first priorities is to continue to reduce property taxes. We've done that 9 cents over the last 3 years, 2022, 2023, 2024, and forecasting in 2025, we should be able to continue to do that. We want to continue to fully fund our Hampton school systems. As stated, we have one of the best in the state and one of the best in the country. City Council funds Hampton City Schools twice the mandate from the state, so we're committed to funding schools. Need to address the homeless population in Hampton. It's getting worse. We do have a shelter on Buckaroo Avenue. It's full. I know our current mayor, Mayor Tuck, and Mayor Philip Jones and Newport News are working together collaboratively to try to find a large facility to address that. So we're hoping with our new mayor that we can continue that and address that problem. If you're ever involved in the Night's Welcome program during the winter with the homeless, where they come to churches and rotate, they can get a nice meal, they can sleep there and what have you. But if you've ever had an opportunity to engage with these people, believe it or not, some of these people like that lifestyle, and some of them prefer that lifestyle. So you have to keep that in mind when you're addressing this problem. Not all of them. We've talked about affordable housing. Obviously, we're landlocked. We're at 98% capacity on homes, on apartments. It's not only affordability, it's accessibility. So we've got to come up with some solution, whether we're rehabbing facilities, whether we're tearing down facilities, building new facilities, to make them affordable. And how do you do that? You got to have some type of incentive. You got to have some type of low interest loan, no interest loan, tax breaks, or what have you. When 2 young people get married and they can't afford to buy a home in Hampton, where they can't afford $2,000, $2,100, or $2,200 rent, where do they go? They go to Hampton, they go to Newport News, they go to York County, and what have you. And to talk about those youth, we want to keep them in Hampton. So we have to have jobs. We have to have high-tech jobs. They got to be good paying jobs. We've got to have affordable housing, and we got to have entertainment that they like to keep them in Hampton versus going to Virginia Beach, cross the water to have a good time. So I think those are the keys. Those are the 4 keys, and my time is up.
Yes, sir. For the time being. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. All righty. And now you all will be able to raise your hand if you'd like to speak to the next sets of questions that will come about, okay? And so our next question is, what are your views on a ward system for Hampton? Your views for a ward system for Hampton? Okay, Mr. Weaver and then Mr. Bowman.
I am totally for a ward system, and this is the reason why. It's because every place, every one of our, what would be called a ward, should have a voice in this. You heard, I know what y'all heard tonight so far. You heard a lot of stuff that included many different areas on the other side of the city. What about this neighborhood that you're sitting in right now? This neighborhood has been underserved for over 20 plus years, even before I was even alive, really. And nobody seems to look at that. But now we have on our back a warehouse. So these kind of things and these zoning decisions, there needed to be, even though Councilman Brown was against it, there needed to be more people. There needed to be an even outward of views and points of views. Because it irks my nerves to my core to hear somebody who lives in Fox Hill or any other area, Phoebus or wherever you want to say, make decisions for my neighborhood, for where I live. That's it.
That would be next, Mr. Bowman, and then.
Can we
Gray.
distinguish which Bowman since we have two?
Yes. Chris Bowman, and then Mr. Gray.
Thank you. I agree with Mr. Weaver. You know, when you're running for a local election here, we have 30 precincts. It's overwhelming to try to do a campaign for 30 precincts, even with an outstanding campaign committee or a number of people to help you. Newport News has a ward system. I agree with Mr. Weaver, whether it's Buckrow, Phoebus. I live in the North King Street area. I would love to have a parameter in the North King Street, and that's all I would have to focus on for re-election or to be on council. I think it has many advantages. I hope we can get to it like Newport News and some of our sister facilities.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. All right. Mr. Gray?
Yes, I think the at-large system serves Hampton just well. Yeah, a lot of times the ward systems, are in place because they're groups of people. Often, sometimes neighborhoods are not represented, or at least feel they are not represented. But I think as council members, being accountable and responsible to all of the citizens in Hampton is what we should be doing. And so there is no, even though we may talk about one area of a city tonight more than one other, it doesn't mean that any other city, whether it's Northampton or Wythe area, is less important than any others. I see all of them as equally important in my eyes. And so I like being accountable to all of the citizens as opposed to be only focused on just my area. I've seen what that does in other cities where council members the council members are elected for wards and they're only concerned about getting money or getting resources for their particular area, and I don't think that that benefits the community. We've been able to achieve diverse city councils and have representation all across the community with the current at-large system, which I think works fine in Hampton.
Thank you. Mr. Randy Bowman.
Okay, I'm not in favor of the award system because as a city council member, you are in charge of the city. So as a Meals on Wheels driver, I ride through the city, I talk to the people, I go to the people. I need to find out what's going on, and that's a good way to do that. You go to the community meetings. You don't need to know just one community. You need to go in every community meeting, get to know people so people can know you, and that's why I will not be an opponent of a award system.
All righty. Would anybody else like to speak on that? We can go right on down, Ms. Campbell, and then Mr. Hobbs.
So I'm going to give you a politician's answer, even though I don't say a politician. I think there's a compromise. So all the research that I've done on the ward systems is it's a bad thing. There's a lot of infighting. There's one budget, and then everybody fights for their piece of the pie, and then it becomes a fight, one against the other. And if somebody moves out of one ward, does that mean they now represent their new ward? Does the money go with them? So there's a lot to do with that. Virginia Beach tried to do it. You know, the devil's in the details. They made a ward system, and they ended up making it basically so that you had a person that had to live in the ward to run in the ward, but then anybody in the city could vote for anybody in any other ward. So again, they had to go back to the drawing board. By the time you get this ward system going, you're talking 3 years before anything can even be done in the ward system. You gotta work, you gotta draw your lines, and you have to vote on that. You gotta get your people, and you gotta vote on that. Then they have to get in and get up to speed. That's if you can get it done in 1 year for each time. So I think the at-large for the council is the best court of configuration, but we have a neighborhood commission. And the neighborhood commission has people, there's 10 districts, and they represent. So I think we have, it's better than the 30, but it's 10, and they would be a great representative of their area that could serve as a pseudo ward. So you have your at-large, but then you have your local representative in your neighborhood commission. So I would propose having a combination of those two working closer together to get the at-large view and the low neighborhood level perspective of what needs to be done in that ward.
All righty, thank you. Mr. Hobbs?
I am not in favor of the ward system. I think that I represent over 137,000 people in Hampton. And I would hate to think that if somebody in the depths of Fox Hill down in Grandview had a problem with the city and I would have to pass it off to somebody else because they're not in my ward, I don't think I'm serving the citizens of Hampton. And when you do this job, you don't do this job to be popular. You don't do this job to be cool. You do this job to help your neighbor. And whoever your neighbor is, that's who you need to help. And we help a lot of different people. We take a lot of different phone calls. Several of us up here, we print our phone numbers on our business cards so you can get a hold of us. And trying to serve your ward system, if you look at some of the other cities, and not pointing fingers, but pointing fingers, they've had actions where they've taken warrants out against each other because they can't get along and things like that. And every one of those are ward systems. And it just creates a problem. We represent all of you, not just some of you.
All right.
Sorry.
Scared me there, Mr.
All
Hobbs.
right. Thank you for that. All right, and so we're moving right along. So you all have really given us some serious things to consider. And based on everyone's experience within their neighborhoods, their areas, I hope everybody is digesting all of this because as Pastor Kenny said earlier, we do put a lot of emphasis on our national election for president, but we do need to be sure that we are electing those in our community that will definitely help the community. So hope you all are taking in everything that's being said. All righty, so our next question is, what steps would you take to encourage, solicit, involve residents in the decision-making process in our city? That's very important. So what steps would you take to encourage, solicit, and involve the residents in the decision-making process of our city? And so I'll start from the far end and come this way. So hands up, Mr. Bowman, and then Ms. Greenwood. Coming on down, Ms. Hope. Okay. I see you, Mr. Weaver. All right.
We have a lot of great systems in place already. Most of our areas of Hampton have civic organizations that are very functional. Some of us on this panel here go to those on a consistent basis to get their feedback. Mentioned the neighborhood commission and the district commissioners. That's another way to do that. I think Mayor Tuck has done an excellent job in his 4 years with his town hall meetings, quarterly inviting people, and they are very well attended, and hope that will continue. I think we have stuff already in place. Can it get better? Can it be improved? I'm sure it can, but I think what we have is working well, and that's it.
Thank you so much. Coming right on down the line. All right, Ms. Greenwood.
I think we need to get the younger generations involved, a lot of which have lost faith in leadership as far as government agencies and bodies. So I think that it's really important that if they're not willing to come to us, I just want you all to take a moment to look around in the room. Okay, the average age group in here is over the age of 30, right? So I think that if they're not willing to take the time out of their schedule like you all have so graciously this evening, we need to go to them and let them hear our voice and let them understand that we work for them, and get the younger community involved because they have needs and they are complaining about it, but not a lot of people are willing to come in and give their time like everyone else in this room. So we need to get out there and pull those individuals in and say, hey, you know, these are your concerns. We're going to address them. We're going to work on them. I also think that we need to lead with transparency. I think that the public needs to know what City Council is working on, and not just from a broad spectrum. They need to know details of what we're working on, and decisions need to be brought to the public prior to making decisions, so that they can be involved in the decision-making process. I think it just makes it easier when someone's like, I didn't know you were going to do that, or they're angry at you for making that decision. But if they know the why, and if they have transparency and they feel trust in their current leadership, there's a lot less angry folks out there, and there's a lot more folks that are willing to go to bat and be a part of the community because they have trust and have faith in the organization that doesn't just support one body of people, it supports us all as a whole. So.
Thank you, Ms. Green. All right, Ms. Harper, and then coming down to Ms. Richardson and on down.
Thank you. I think that one of the things I know before I got on council, one of the ways that I stayed engaged is that I became a part of a board and commission. We have more than enough boards and commissions with several interests, which any citizen can apply to be on. And they are council-appointed boards. We have neighborhood centers, community centers that you all can volunteer, as well as go in just to see what is going on. Continuously to attend your council meetings. You can attend them in person. You can see them online. Planning commission, neighborhood commission, all of those meetings are open to the public. Our Hampton Redevelopment and Housing Authority, those meetings are open to the public. I know several people do not know that, but they are open to the public. They are for you to raise your voice. I remember me and Councilman Brown sit on the Hampton Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and there was a young lady who had a grievance, and she came to that meeting, and you know, she did not know whether or not she could come in, but it is a public meeting. And I said, you are more than welcome to come in this meeting and share what you would like. So I think that, you know, if we continue to do those things and just speak to your neighbor, speak to your community, and see what concerns that they have, what things do they like in Hampton. That's how you know you can't represent people that you do not know.
All right, Ms. Harper, thank you. Ms. Richardson?
Do I get to go again? Yeah. I believe that it's pretty easy to get a hold of most of us that are on council now. We try to be accessible. We try to be out there. And I can tell you, if you see me walk in a restaurant, and it's very seldom, when my daughter while she was in college and she would come home on the weekend, we would go to a restaurant somewhere in Hampton. I try to buy my clothes in Hampton. I try to spend my money in Hampton. I try to do everything I can to develop Hampton. And we'd walk into a restaurant, and somebody would say, and she used to laugh at me, she said, Dad, don't you get tired of hearing, hey, Billy, do you have a minute? And what would happen was I would say, sure, and the girls would go on and sit down, and they would order dinner for me, and then we would talk about whatever the citizen had on their mind. I think most all of us, I can't speak for all seven, but I believe all seven of us right now are accessible. All you've got to do is just grab us and say, hey, have you got a minute? We will listen to you. We need you. And like Hope was saying, getting on boards and commissions, that's how I got involved. I got involved 37 years ago by helping out with Coliseum Central Business Improvement District. It was selfish because I was running a dealership in the Coliseum Central, and I wanted to do more marketing and do more security and do things like that. So I found out how to get involved, and there was a fellow by the name of Hardy Cash, and he said, sit down right here, boy, and let me tell you. And if you get involved with your city, you'll find out there are a lot of things going on. Now, there are some things that we cannot talk about because we don't want to blow the deal, but we are willing to listen to you. And like I said before, several of us have our phone numbers on our business cards. I've got a stack of business cards out there on the table. So if you want us to call us, it may take us a little while to get back to you, but I guarantee you we want to hear from you because we represent y'all. Y'all are the people who pay our whopping big salary, and we appreciate that.
I think Hampton does a wonderful job in having organizations that are accessible to us. One of the things I remember years ago when I first came to Hampton was how the community connected and everybody was able to talk to everybody. And I remember going to a Christmas concert, and some of you might remember this, where they had Joanne Falata. And they invited the community to come, and everybody come out. You have thousands of people at the Coliseum. And we were able to connect as a community. And so I think having those type of opportunities where we can come together and bond and make Hampton even stronger, but even more so, something for the young people. Something that they can come together and be proud of, but be able to build upon with each other and making this a great city. So I just think creating something where we all can come together. Thank you.
All righty. Okay, and we're coming this way. Yes, Ms. Campbell.
Okay, so as a Boy Scout mom, it used to be many, many moons ago, all the parents volunteered. And as time went by, less and less parents volunteered because they're busy. They're both working. They're spending too much time at work trying to make ends meet. So again, back to reducing the costs so that they can have more time. The people that we're talking about getting to come to these commissions, they don't have time to come to the commissions because they're too busy working. So a lot of the parents, they don't want to do any more volunteer. They don't want to do more fundraising. Just write a check, and I don't want to sell wallpaper. I don't want to sell cookies. I've got to work. So we need to be able to communicate with these people in a short fashion, how they communicate, where they communicate. When I was coming up, we would go to the budget meetings, and the auditoriums were full. And I went to the last ones. There were 8 people at one. There were 10 at the other. There were 20 online. People are just too busy, and the comments you see are, why bother? They're not listening to us. So I think gaining the trust and communicating where they are and getting it to where they have a little more free time to be able to volunteer, to be able to do those commissions, it all just kind of blends together.
All right. We're coming on down this way. We're still on that same question now. I see you, Ms. Grimble.
All right, I think Hampton does an excellent job communicating. We have the city council meetings. We have Virginia.gov. We have different associations, different committees. But one place we really missed the mark, and I found out by visiting a senior citizen home. They don't have cable where they can go on channel 46, and they don't have ways to get to city council meetings. So maybe like a newsletter, because they are voters, they are concerned citizens. So just even if you have to go and have a briefing, maybe one council member take a turn and visit, every so often to keep them abreast of what's going on, because they want to be included too.
All righty, thank you. All right, Mr. Gray.
Yes, ditto to everyone who said that Hampton does a great job at neighborhood and citizen engagement, because I think that we do, and we have a long history of civic engagement for the residents through the, and I think the neighborhood commission, the neighborhood office, the youth commission were all born out of desire to have ways for young people and citizens at large to participate and have input in city government. And so I think there are areas that we can work on to strengthen that a little bit. Just last night at the Youth Commission, their candidate forum, one of the ideas that percolated out of that was that the youth, like the school board, which has 2 student representatives on it, the Youth Commission mentioned that they would like us to consider having student representatives on the city council. And so I think we will have a future discussion about that. I have 6 priorities if you pick up one of my mailers out here, and one of my priorities is continue to protect neighborhoods and also to create more civic engagement. I would like to see us have more registered neighborhoods, more registered neighborhood watch programs, and I think that provides opportunities for more citizens to get involved in what's going on in the community and have ways to communicate that to the city council and city staff. Many of us, I know I do, and other council members regularly attend neighborhood meetings and neighborhood organization meetings so that we can kind of hear what's going on from those who are involved at the grassroots level. And oftentimes we get valuable information on what they're thinking, things that may not have caught the attention of city staff. We're able to bring those things back and perhaps get something initiated on them. So going forward as mayor, one of the things I would like us to do is to focus on more neighborhood watch groups, which would help in our crime prevention efforts if we have more neighborhood eyes on the crime and reporting crime in neighborhoods and across the city for that matter, but also more registered and organized neighborhoods who can kind of come together, talk about the needs of the neighborhoods, communicate those needs to those of us who may be able to take action or generate action or through the staff on things that need to be accomplished that you may feel were not being heard at your level.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Weaver?
So yeah, we need to definitely meet people where they are. I know almost everybody has an Amazon account. There could be targeted ads on Amazon. There could be targeted ads on Google. There could be targeted, but I'm saying targeted because of many things. Like one thing is a zoning issue, a zoning change. A zoning change is on the city website and it's also on the in the paper. How many people, by show of hands, read the paper or have a subscription? I like it. And guess how many of our youth have a paper subscription? Correct. Exactly. So we need to meet them where they're at. We need to meet everybody where they're at. Also, too, in terms of communicating, the website, we need to make sure that we do a better job at council@hampton.gov is the city website that you all get it. The staff does an amazing job at getting them. But we need to make sure that every council person is with integrity and transparency. We need to make sure every council person knows that they get that there. That's the main thing. Because when you all send it there, they get it. They need to answer to that. And also, you can have the council, because we know usually when you email council.gov, usually Mayor Tuck responds or Ms. Bunton. But if I would like to see a city council member respond to it if they would have the time to. Because I know I plan on doing it if I'm elected. So these are some of the things. So we need to meet people where they are, but we also need to make sure that the communication is getting out there. We also should go back to, especially with zoning hyper-specific, put the signs back up. We don't do the signs anymore as a city. I don't know if you all know that, but usually in the old days, as they call it, when you drive past a property that's up for zoning, we used to see that. We don't see that anymore currently. We should go back to that as well. That's it.
All righty, thank you. And so for this question of what steps would you take to encourage solicitor involvement for the residents of Hampton in decision making? I hear communication a lot. I hear marketing. I hear that. So it would go both ways as to whether or not that's something to be done, or is it already being done, or does it need to be done better? But I'm hearing that in all of you all's answers, okay? All righty, and so the next question up. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, okay, the zoning code, what would it be and why? Zoning codes, starting with Ms. Harper. Did you raise your hand, Ms. Weaver? No? Okay.
Hi, I just said this, but one of the things that I really want to change in our zoning code is accessory dwelling ordinances. They need to be changed. They are very old ordinances that need to be brought up to code with the times. We are finding out that more people want them in back of their homes, whether or not it's a teeny house. The city of Newport News, they just decided that last month. And so in reference to to that. But it's one thing that I really would like to change is about accessory dwellings, because it's coming more prominent throughout the citizens that do want homes in the back of their homes. I've been dealing with a couple for over a year, because, and it is on a case-by-case basis, but I've been dealing with them for over a year. And I wasn't happy about that at all, because it was way too long of a time for us to decide, or because of the zoning laws that were on hand, that they could not get what they wanted. So we have been in talks concerning that, so we're on our way. I do believe to making some changes there. So that is one of the priorities if I'm re-elected, and even now, that we should be looking at is accessory dwelling changes in our zoning laws.
All righty. Anyone else wanted to speak to that? Mr. Hobbs wanted, and then Ms. Greenwood, Mr. Bowman.
I spent over 55 years in a retail business, and something we don't do in our zoning department is we don't find ways to say yes. A lot of times I think we take the easy way out. And a perfect example of this was Vice Mayor Gray and I, several months ago, met with a contractor at 6 o'clock one morning for breakfast, and we just talked about all the problems he had. Now, he admitted that he had caused some of his problems, but instead of trying to find a way to say yes with this contractor, I think we slammed the door on him, because he can be a bit rude at times. He doesn't mean to be, it's just his personality. But he's a good contractor, and he builds good homes, and he services people, but we do not find a way to say yes. And I can tell you, in the automobile business, we would be sitting around doing nothing if we didn't find a way to say yes. You've got to find a way yes and help people. You've got to find a way to find out where they're at right now, what you can do to help them, and politely point out when they've made a mistake and show them how to do it the right way, and do it with a little integrity and a little caring.
I don't know if it's premature speaking of this, but I remember going to city council not too long ago, and a resident was complaining about the short-term rental, and she had a neighbor that had 25 people in the house for a 3-bedroom home. And so as far as the zoning, how is that going to work? And are we going to make sure that we still have the integrity of our neighborhoods and that doesn't happen, and as well as a lack of parking?
Okay. Ms. Greenwood, and then we'll come to Mr. Gray.
How many of you have ever been into a Board of Zoning Appeals? Anyone in the room? Good for you. Thank you, by the way, Kathy. So for one, my experience has been that the decisions are pretty much already made and briefed by the city attorney and their staff to make a recommendation prior to doing so. So yes, it is an appeal process, but the decision's pretty much been already made when you walk in the door. During my Board of Zoning Appeals, I reached out to all 7 city council members and the city manager, and the only person who took the time to meet with me and out of his own time was Vice Mayor Jimmy Gray. So we need to do better, we can do better, and we should do better. However, I do believe that the current laws for zoning are old and outdated, and that they need to be looked into and revised, because things change, and those laws should be there to protect our citizens and protect their needs. And those needs may change, and if they do not meet the needs of the overall community and then support them, then just having one person brief by what's in a textbook is not doing your community any service. It's doing them a great disservice. So again, we need to do better, we need to listen better, and we need to be proactive and not reactive to these zoning violations and ordinances that are in place. So
Thank you. All righty. Mr. Bowman, and then we'll come down to Mr. Chris Bowman, from that end to Ms. Farabee, to Mr. Randy Bowman, to Mr. Gray.
We need to revisit our master plans, and we've got master plans for every zone and area in Hampton. For example, I think most of you would agree that we don't need another car wash, another storage place, or even a restaurant on Mercury Boulevard. So looking at zoning, how do we get a better mix throughout the city? Mercury Boulevard is just one example. Take a serious look at that and see if we can clean that up in certain pockets and areas and make it more multi-use.
Thank you, Mr. Crispo. And the mic's on. Yeah, right here, Miss Ed.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm on the Board of Zoning Appeals right now, and it's been a great learning experience for me. And one thing that I can say is that the citizens that are serving on that Board of Zoning Appeals, many times we have not accepted the recommendation of staff. And I have seen for myself, my own eyes, we are human beings on that board. We have seen situations where our citizens built a deck a little bit too big, not understanding what the zoning laws are. And if it was a hardship, then we actually overturned that decision. There are laws, there are regulations that are in place, and the staff has to make the recommendations based on that. We have vacancies within, the city has, not we, the city has vacancies in that office right now. Many times, as you know, we're all human, and when you communicate verbally, sometimes what I want to hear is different than what the person that was providing me with the information on the other side of the desk. And our board, our zoning board, takes all of those types of things into account. I would agree that we need to, that the laws need to be looked at, but there are also laws around, and give me a moment to get this right, that we have wetlands. And a lot of the things that go before that Board of Zoning Appeals have to do with wetlands. I don't know if y'all have seen some of the imagery that was just on one of the television programs on the news a couple of days ago, showing that if we continue the way we are, in 70 years, we're going to be in trouble and we won't even have drinking water in this area. So there's a lot of technicalities that go on, and I think we do need to revisit and make sure some of the simple zoning laws are up to date and reasonable, because I do feel that we need to get to yes when we can, but we also want to protect our environment. And our Board of Zoning Appeal has to look at that. But I want to emphasize to you all the importance of you being involved citizens and getting on these boards and commissions, because we are human beings and we take that into account when we are voting. And we do not vote always on the recommendations that come before us from the staff. I can't emphasize that enough. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right, for zoning, I think we have to do a better job of just communicating with the community. Just a few weeks ago, I attended a roundtable on Simple Farm Road. It was a whole new developer coming in, and the residents, they weren't aware. And then we asked the question, and I pretty much stood up and asked the question, why, as a developer, did you not inform the citizens? And the developer, this is his bread and butter, this is what he does every day. He says he's sorry, he forgot. But that's not good for our community and our residents. And it's the same thing, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but it's the same thing with the deaf and blind school. We have to do a better job of connecting with the residents to find out what they would like to see, and versus just going and make a decision. And I understand a lot of times it is about the money, but you have to listen to the residents, because they are the ones that have to live in those communities.
Thank you, yes, all right.
There are several areas that we, as a governing body, are going to have to look at in the future regarding zoning. And if you heard many people mention how, that Hampton is a built-out city. I mean, you can look around. We don't have a lot of developable land. Sometimes where you see land that you think may be land that could be developed, it's also wetland involved in that, and so we're restricted into how much of that land can be developed. So we're working with a lot of federal and state restrictions when it comes to land development in Hampton, And so, but if we want to grow our city, which I think we all agree, we want more revenue, we want more business, we want more housing, we're going to have to adjust our zoning codes to allow more denser developments, which means that we will grow up opposed to growing out. And so we've already taken the first step toward that in the Coliseum Central District, where we have removed some of the parking requirements, minimum parking requirements there, and allowed more denser development so that new apartment developments coming in, you may see will be taller buildings now as opposed to the typical 3 to 4 story building that you see. We may also have to look at the same in the downtown area, so we're trying to create some critical mass there. But denser developments and wide open requirements for parking that come with some new developments, we just don't have the land to commit in the future to having it restricted with lots of parking and more lower developments. We're going to have to grow up. And so we'll have those conversations. When we talked about the accessory dwelling units, that's one. I was at the Virginia Municipal League conference this weekend, and that was a part of the discussion there because we expected the General Assembly will take up accessory dwelling units in the very near future. So we will have to take some action, at least to put something in place that we can say that we're grandfathered in. So because most of us in local governments, we don't want the state telling us how to use our land. We want to retain land use control at the local level. And so we'll have those discussions. I think coming up in maybe December, we'll have an open discussion on accessory dwelling units. We will probably put together a stakeholder group similar to what we did with the short-term rental ordinance and the way that we built that with stakeholder groups, because that's a part of the civic engagement that we like to do. So just stay tuned on that, because that discussion will come up real soon.
All right, thank you. Mr. Weaver, did you want to speak on that, or you good?
I mean, now. Well, I already said it. Technically, I already said it. I told you all. The zoning, we definitely have to do working in partnership with the community. That is a key thing, in partnership with, not to, in partnership with. So with that, like I said, I'm an advocate for bringing back those boards because, again, people drive by the property all the time. Oh, something's going to happen right there. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. So the word I'm hearing in all of this, the past conversations, is reevaluate. So reevaluating. All right. Last question. In light of all of what you've said, you all have spoken to in reference to zoning and the fact that we have some very primitive laws on the book, mandates and so forth that need to be looked at. How would you evaluate whether or not a project was worth implementing? Because those things do need to be changed, but they won't be changed overnight. And once you are voted in as an official, how would you rate those things? How would you evaluate whether or not those projects were worth implementing? Okay, Ms. Greenwood, and then Ms. Campbell.
I just think return on investment. There's multiple ways to look at that, though. I mean, obviously, streams of revenue, if it increases the revenue for the city, that's very important. But I mean, you look at the people in the room. If the community is happy, they're thriving, and they're receiving the benefits for those projects, then I think it's win-win. And again, like I keep piggybacking, but Michelle, I love that you said this. We rise by lifting others. So if everybody in this room takes a little bit more time to look to the left and look to the right, and open the door and be kind and think of the person next to them, as well as we do that on city council, I think Newport News better watch out, because we're gonna give them a run for it and let the rest of the world know that Hampton's doing something right. So that's what I hope. That's what I hope we can do together and achieve.
All right, Ms. Campbell.
So I was talking with somebody about this very thing, and they said they went to a neighboring city, and they asked their planning commission what their goal is, and their goal was get to yes. And then she asked Hampton's what there was, and theirs was follow the law. So I think we need to move from the follow the law mentality to the get to yes mentality.
Okay. on down this way. Who else? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Harper.
I was going to say, anytime that we want to evaluate a program, we always want to look at the data, whether it's going to be qualitative data or quantitative data. Data always tells the true story. And so whatever we get from the residents, that's going to be the evaluation piece.
All right, Ms. Harper.
I think that when you're implementing a plan, first of all, you got to look to see where there is a need for what you're implementing. Then you have to be sure that we have the resources to support that need that we would like to implement. So I think looking at that, and also looking at the community plan, the strategic plan that the city has, if it falls in line with that, but also as it has been stated, is there a need for this? Will our city support this? So we have to look at those things as well.
All right, thank you. So going down on the far end to Ms. Belgrave, and then coming back to Hobbs, Mr. Randy Bowman, and Mr. Gray.
Yes, and as we assess what is needed in the community, we also need to think of the things that don't happen overnight. So those decisions that we make today, we have to really think about how they're going to really be reflected in the future, how our community is going to be in the future when those plans and those decisions made today, the impact that they made later on as well. So assessing and prioritizing once we know exactly what's going on per zone, per district, per community, let me put it that way, per community, what is it and what are the priorities in each one. But once we assess, then we take the decision from there. Like it has said before, we meet people where they are, we meet the community where the community is, and then we move forward from
All right,
it.
then. Thank you. Coming on back down this way.
It's, when we're looking at something for the city now, we always try to take a look at least the city councils I've been involved in. We try to look at how the citizens are going to benefit from it, what the city will benefit from it, what our surrounding area may benefit from it. And I was always taught in business that I like a deal where everybody gets some of what they want, maybe not all of what they want, but some of what they want. So I want to make sure the citizens get served in every deal we do. I want to make sure that it's not just a glitzy deal that will look good and not really bring any benefit to the citizens. So you've got to put the citizens first, I think, in all our deliberations. And I think that the councils that I've been involved in have done a pretty good job at doing that. And we just try to make sure we serve the citizens properly. And if we do that, then we're not going to go wrong.
All right, and you're going to come back this way for the questions. And also, as I'm looking at our question sheet, once you all answer this question, then we'll give you your 3 minutes to make your closing, so to say, statement. And then we'll just go right on down the line for that and close everybody out. That way everyone gets to speak. Ms. Fairby, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. I think it's important that we make decisions with positive intent. And we have to be able to give ourselves grace. We have to always assess and then reassess and keep open lines of communication, because we're all human. We're all trying to do the best for this city. And we have to, in my opinion, look at the data, talk to the people, weigh, make a decision, reassess. That's all we can do. And when we do things that we can't please everyone, we're trying to look to do what's best for the greater good. And in that process, we have to go back sometimes and work as a community with the city to try to overcome any barriers and things that didn't go the way everyone felt that they should. But there's no cookbook to getting everything exactly right, just like raising children, right? We didn't get a book to tell us how to do that. We do the best we can, and we do it with positive intent.
All right, thank you. Mr. Randy Bowman?
with any plan, there's follow-up. You have to have consistent follow-up. We write the checks, but it's your money. So we need to make sure that we're getting a return on investment. We need to make sure that we are on track, that we're going to get the job done or the project done on time, so it doesn't cost the taxpayers any more money. So we definitely have to have follow-up.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gray?
Yeah, I will add that, I mean, we have some very competent people on staff, and when we're working on a development deal, for example, sometimes one of the reasons that takes so long, and it's just a lot of anxiety over that because we get complaints that things take too long. But we know that our staff does a very thorough job at looking at the financial analysis, looking at the implications, pros and cons of a development, and they try to bring us as much of the information and options that they can give us so that we can make the best decision go forward. And we typically feel very confident on that, although sometimes it's still not easy to get to the final decision. But we think that we think we have good people who really help with trying to get us the right information and the right options to do that. Sometimes with certain projects that you approve, if you approve a development deal and it's built, there's not a whole lot you can do to go back and change that. It's bricks and mortar, so the evaluation and assessments and analysis all has to occur up front because you only get one shot at it, and it's either going to be a good project or it's not. But when you have, for example, short-term rentals, we spent a lot of time on short-term rentals, looked at a lot of options on that, but still, once we approve the final ordinance on short-term rentals, there is still opportunity that exists to reevaluate certain portions or certain features of that ordinance to try to get it or to try to tighten it up a little bit. So sometimes there is an opportunity to do evaluation, and sometimes you got to do the best you can up front and make the best decision because you don't get a second chance at doing it right.
All righty, thank you. Mr. Weaver?
I'm actually a planner. That's what I do every day. So we always start from the accomplishment all the way back. So I don't want to get too data into it, but this starts with the actual person or group bringing the project to the city. That's where it starts. Because yes, the staff does a great job, but also too, it has to be our job as council to ask the correct questions. Make sure that the data that we're getting makes sense. And also, what is going to happen down the road? So I make this decision, now what is going to happen to this? Or I make this decision, what is going to happen to this, and weigh in those pros and cons. That is something that you look for. I look at also the working sessions and also the actual legislative sessions, and I want to see that more. I want to see them asking the in-depth questions and making sure that the information from whoever this developer is given the correct answers and not just fluff answers, as I call them, because you get a lot of fluff in life, but fluff answers. So it starts with us in terms of the beginning aspect of it.
All righty, thank you. All right, so what I'm hearing now is we're doing a lot of, there needs to be a lot of communication with the community, okay, both sides. So everything that we've heard, it's a both sides of the spectrum there, okay? So now we're going to close you out, and so we'll give everyone a chance to make their last parting words. And so we'll start down on the far end with Ms. Belgrave and come each person right on down the row, okay?
So this is the last time, all right? Yes, okay. First off, we do have to be realistic, not only from this side, but from your side too. So that way we can communicate clear and know exactly what is it that you need and you want and what the city really needs for all of us to move forward in a way that it is a win-win situation for both. Because from this side, we do have to look into what the laws are. We have to make sure that it is possible because remember, we have constitutions, we have other little things that we have to take into consideration as city council members. So we do our best, we listen. I, as a city council member, you You hire me, I will do the best for you. I will listen to you, and I will definitely be a team player because city council is definitely a team. But for us to function as a great team, you have to tell us what is it that you need, what's going on in your communities, and give me the chance. It's only for 2 years. I'm the special election. And if you need anything, contact me, Jeannie, info at jeannieforvirginia.com. It's very easy to remember. But stay connected because that's the way that we can also help you and stay involved, volunteer, connect with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been on council since 2020, 4 years. We've had a lot of successes. We've got a good council. We've got a good vice mayor, and we need to build upon that momentum. For example, we need to continue to look at reducing property taxes. We made great investments in an aquaplex, a new Hyatt, 2 community centers, and a ton of small businesses that have moved to Hampton. We need to ride that wave after the election into 25 and what have you. So there are two important things in this election. It's experience and relationships. And I could go into a lot of detail on experience and relationships. I'm on city council. I have the experience. I have the relationships. I want your vote November 5th. Re-elect Chris Bowman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bo. Next.
How many people in here have grandchildren? Hopefully lots of you. Okay. So when I decided to when I made the decision to run, my husband and I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it finally came down to me saying, well, if you don't like the way our town is run, then let's just move. And it was deer in headlights. We can't move. We're way too invested. But that is why I'm here, is because I'm invested in this town. I have children here. I own a small business here. I have friends and family here, and I need this town to be everything that everyone in this room knows it can be. So I'm here to represent a generation that comes long after the people who are dedicated enough to spend their Tuesday night here, a younger generation that needs to get involved and represent your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren and the generations that come. So I would love your vote because I want the opportunity to make Hampton better and to encourage younger people to get involved and support those folks that do have a lot of experience with decisions on council making. But I think together we can really make some positive changes, and we can collaborate together with different ideas and different mindsets to make Hampton everything that it can be and that much more. So if you're looking for positive change, please vote Chelsea for Change and give me 2 years to show you what I can do positive in Hampton and make this place better for not just me, my kids, and my small business, but for everyone in this room. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Greenwood.
Thank you all so much for being with us tonight. I wanted to thank the Bridge Builders for this forum and the opportunity to come before you this evening. When I first decided to run for office, when I was elected in November of 2022, I decided to run because I wanted to make a difference. I was born and raised in Hampton, and even the only time I left Hampton was when I went to college, graduated, and came back to Hampton and worked in corporate America, and still there as a 26-year employee of Northrop Grumman. But learning and embracing Hampton's future is my motto for this campaign season, and I am so proud of the work that my colleagues and I have done on City Council, whether or not it's our environmental efforts, it's economic efforts, short-term rentals. We have been looked at as the city to look at for that because we are the only ones that have foundational good guidelines for short-term rentals because they're not going anywhere. But also certain things that I initiated that I wanted done. I know I talked about the expansion of the Summer Youth Employment Program. I'm a strong advocate for our city employees, And also making sure in economic development that people are SWAM certified. And so even though we are not a perfect city, we have our challenges, but we turn our challenges into opportunities. And I think that that is something that Hampton does great, that we are that we will continue to do great things. I think the far as you can see that the future is up from here for us. So I just thank you for your support in the past. For some of you that supported me, I hope that you will support me this time on November 5th, and or early voting if you decide to. Hope for Hampton, that I will like to concentrate on housing, rehabilitation, and neighborhood revitalization, opportunities for youth and families, partnerships for continued progress, and economic and environmental resilience. So I am number 2 under general election because I would like my service to be continued. Thank you all so very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Harper.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. And I think this was a good forum. We had a lot of questions. As you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about the citizens of Hampton. And I get a little carried away sometimes, but that's because I love you. I have served the city of Hampton in one way or another for over 37 years. I was president of Coliseum Central Business Improvement District and was on the board of directors for 12 years. I was on the Board of Zoning Appeals for 13 years, and I've been on City Council since 2012. Now, I'm not the smartest guy up there, and I'm not the prettiest guy up there, but nobody's going to work any harder any longer than I do. And I've got a very good business head on my shoulders. I've run several large businesses in the Tidewater area. Being in the car business is not easy, and finding a way to say yes to people is something that I'm very good at. I try to find a way that everybody gets something out of the deal they're looking for. The reason I got involved with the city council to begin with was 2 of my friends who were very influential in the Hampton community came to me and they said, "You like helping people, and if you get on city council, you can help more people," and they were right. And that's what it's all about. It's helping the citizens of Hampton have a little bit better life, helping our children, helping our elderly people, everybody, just making it a better place to live. I love living here. I moved here when I was 19. I moved down the road at Southampton Shopping Center in an apartment. I had a 63 Nova Super Sport and the clothes on my back, and that was it. And Hampton has been good to me, and I appreciate it. Hopefully I've earned your vote. I would like to do one more term. We've got some things we haven't finished, and I promised a friend of mine, Will Moffitt, that I would finish a few things before I laid down my working tools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs.
I want to say thank you for inviting me. This is my 37th year here. I love Hampton. I came out here to go to graduate school. I never left. I have dedicated my time to education. I've been a teacher. I've been assistant principal. I've been the director for the science department, director for instructional technology. I've also was a manager of multiple grants. I was over the consortium for WHRO. I have done a lot. I've also been the president of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority for 4 years. Thoroughly know the Robert rules. I have so much more to give Hampton. I was asked to run multiple times, and I've always said no, because I was too busy. And this time I said, you know, maybe I need to run. I look at the science and where our kids are going, and how we have to bring people in to do the job of science that our kids should be doing. And that we have to give them opportunities to be just as great. I would love to see Hampton be a place that's already surrounded by science, but that we be one of the forefronts in the country that produces the largest amount of scientists and doctors. I look at the environment. Like Ms. Fairby said, 70 years from now, where are we going to be? We're a hurricane zone. Are we prepared? Are we dealing with the erosion? Are we looking at the quality of the water? What are we doing? And then also the housing. Housing's a problem. It's becoming a shortage. We got 3 and 5 families living in a house. So it's something that we have to address. I'm a strong leader. I believe in community. and I collaborate. I get money. So I want Hampton to continue to grow. I want them to be the beacon of light that people want to come to and be a part of our community. So I appreciate you. I am the last one on the ballot. So it is Richardson, not ARDRICHISON, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. You're welcome.
I am Carolyn Campbell, and I have the experience both as a program manager. I've run programs that are of $250 million in size worldwide, assistant vice president, chief engineer. I've run the big programs in big corporate, but I've also run my own business, and it's in housing. I flip houses. So I understand big corporate, I understand big dollars, I understand big programs, and I also understand the housing market. So I think right now, after COVID, all the people, their savings are wiped because they worked to keep their head above water during COVID. All the businesses are suffocating. I think they just need a little time to get back going, and we need more small businesses. We need to quit chasing them to Newport News. We need to support them to stay here so they can generate more taxes as well. So I think I have the ability to do that. We have 4 sister cities, now we have a 5th, and I think we need to partner with them and not just, when I ask why we have them, it's for goodwill. We need products, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm excited and have lots of ideas for how we can bridge that gap and leverage those partnerships and take advantage of our sister cities as well. So I hope I can count on your vote on November 5th or tomorrow. I will be out there every day from 8:30 to 5, willing to say hello to you. So I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you again to the bridge builders for organizing this. It's been my pleasure to sit with all of the people here with me. I am a lifelong resident in the city of Hampton. I was born and lived in a union household. My daddy was a mailman. He was a member of the National Association of Letter Carriers, and he was mail carrier primarily his entire time in Hampton down in the Chesapeake Avenue area. I grew up in East Aberdeen. My mother was a teacher, so she was also involved with the union. My dad was a World War II veteran, and I love Hampton. I was born and raised in East Aberdeen, was born in Newport News at Mare Immaculate, the old Mare Immaculate, but I was raised my entire time in the city of Hampton. I graduated from Bethel High School. I have a mathematics degree from the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg. I've been working at NASA Langley Research Center for 41 years, and I'm currently the Deputy Director for Strategic Partnerships. We are living on a gold mine in the city of Hampton, and I love this city, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we shine a huge light on the city. We cannot do it by ourselves. We need to partner with Newport News on the peninsula and raise all of ourselves up. The tide rises up when we're all together. And I appreciate, I didn't even realize I had said that. So I appreciate you, Chelsea, for reminding me. I have a lot of strategic leadership. I was appointed unanimously to City Council in 2022. We have a wonderful City Council, level-headed people out in the community. You've heard it here today, and you've seen these people that are on City Council out in the community and working for the betterment of everything in our city. I will continue to do that. Again, I love this city. We have opportunity here to make this a livable city, and we need to focus on educating the students here with the great school system we have and keeping them here, creating the jobs for them to stay. We can do it, and I'm going to make sure that we do it. We need to address the environment so that we can continue to have our beautiful water land by the sea. I know Hampton University, my parents met at Hampton Institute, and it's what is it, by the sea, the home by the sea? Hampton is the home by the sea, and we need to make sure that we keep that. So I have so much passion, and I really hope that you all will turn the ballot over. Special election, first name, Michelle Taylor Farabee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farabee. Mr. Randy Bowman.
All right. Thank you for clarifying the name. So I'm Randy Bowman. and as you all have heard, a business owner. Hampton is very near and dear to me. We have a lot of rich culture, museums. I chose Hampton to raise my family. I chose Hampton to buy my first home at 21. My son chose Hampton to buy his first home at 21. We never moved into an apartment. So we love Hampton. With that said, I have 30 years of management experience, and I took that management experience and I opened up my first business in Hampton 7 years ago. And with that business, I met so many amazing people, but the community work that I have done, my name is known, Randy Bowman, for doing community service, to the point that I can humbly say to you, I was endorsed by Senator Mamie Locke and our Congressman Bobby Scott because they see what I'm doing. It wasn't handed on a platter. They see and know what Randy Bowman's worth is. So then I opened up a second business and invested in Hampton. 2 rundown businesses, eyesores, which we have way too many of in Hampton. We have to do a better job of making sure that people can open up small businesses so we can streamline the red tape. I am number 3 on the ballot. Number 3. We are in early voting, and we can vote on November the 5th. Also, my teammate, Waylon McDew, who could not be here tonight, he's number 7. We are Team Hampton, and that's all we can say because we're in church. You're not supposed to say you can vote, but you can solicit our help. Well, we solicit your help on for voting, number 3, number 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Randy Bowman. Mr. Gray.
Good evening, and again, thanks to Reverend Kenny and Darlene for hosting this forum and being the moderator. Great opportunity for us to engage with the citizens, which we all love to do. So I've been here in Hampton for 20 years. My wife and I moved here when I got hired as the fire chief, and it was an opportunity for me to advance in the fire service, where I spent 26 years in Chesapeake and had a chance to reach my career goal at that time, and that is to become a fire chief and do it somewhere in the Hampton Roads region, and Hampton provided that opportunity for me. And since that time, I've been continuing to serve the community in various capacities. As the assistant city manager, I had the opportunity to do that for 4 years. And, in addition to my work in city government, I've been active in the community on a number of boards and nonprofits, Soundscapes, the Hampton Education Foundation, the Fort Monroe Foundation. I'm president of that right now. So my community work extends way beyond what I do and what I get paid a few dollars for with city council to do. But, that's because I love the community and I see things that I want to accomplish, and so I find areas where I think I fit in. I have a passion for doing work in, and one of those is also being a city council member. And so when I ran for city council in 2016, I ran on being accessible, responsible, and responsive to the needs of the citizens of this community, and that's what I've done. I think I've lived up to that. I meet with people, I talk to people, people have my phone number. I won't point out anybody, but some of you in this room got my cell phone number and call me all the time when they have something. And I'm fine with that because that's what I wanted to be. I wanted people to have access to me. And so as mayor, I think that's what I will continue to do. I don't see that changes. I guess life gets a little busier when you're the mayor. I've seen that working alongside Mayor Tuck and the demands on his schedule, but I think I'm up to the task of leading this city forward. I think I have the experience and the leadership skills, and I think I'm a person of integrity and good character, and so I think I'm one that you can count on, and so I can promise you that when I get up every day, I'm going to put my best foot forward and put all that Jimmy Gray has into making this city a place where people can live and raise their kids, have good schools. I have grandkids here in elementary school, so my family is connected to the community. So I'm working for them just like I'm working for your family. So if you haven't already voted for me and you're still considering, I think there's only one real choice for mayor, and that's me, Jimmy Gray. So I appreciate your vote going forward. So if you haven't decided, I'm happy to meet with you and talk with you more. If you need more convincing, I'm ready to do that for you too. But thank you all for being here this evening. This is what Hampton is all about, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Weaver, you close us out.
All right. My name, that's apropos. My name is Aaron Weaver. It all started here. Still live here. But Hampton University graduate, Hampton High School, Hampton University graduate, professionally, Fortune 100 company over a decade, working there in strategic management and also planning. Currently, right now, I'm a strategic planner, a scheduler too, but it's deeper than me. The reason why I came here was because this neighborhood needed a voice. I didn't care about anything else. I was working for the city. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to go. Because I knew I had to speak up for this neighborhood, and that was the sacrifice that I was willing to take. And I will always take that sacrifice. Because I'm not running for this position for a title. I'm running to serve. I'm running to be that voice, to have that conversation, even when it's uncomfortable. I don't know how many of y'all watch city council meetings, but I'm there almost every other time. And that's because that's where the decisions are made. And I know this. Fighting for this community and different other communities in this neighborhood and in this city, I know where it lies. And that's the reason why, that's one of my main key whys why I'm standing in front of you today. I'm asking you for your vote, but not only for your vote, I need your help. Because just because you vote for me and I'm voted in, now it's a partnership. It's us working together, not us doing everything for you, us working together. When you have victories and everything, we're open. Give me a call. Please let me know. If there's any opportunities, because I don't call problems, I call opportunities. Any opportunities, please let me know. Because the reason why advocate is the first thing it was, because I'm a customer service advocate. And I want to make sure that if I can't do it, I'll get you to who can do it for you. Because I'm a homeboy. Aaron Weaver, if you're early voting, I'm always outside the polls from 1:30 to 5. I'm going to be that because I work from 4 to 1 in the morning. And I'm going to be there to talk to you. A lot of people in here have my number. Please give me a call. Because these are the things that I do. Also, too, after November 2nd, November 5th, if you all please give me that opportunity, that's what I'm here, that's what I'm asking for, to serve you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. All right. Going to turn this over to pastor of this great house, Reverend Kenny.
Thank you all for being here. Help me give God praise for each one of these candidates tonight who shared from their hearts, and hopefully, prayerfully, they said something to encourage you on your way to the polls. Now, I'm going to be a little pastoral here because I believe in character. I believe in integrity. Can I get that mic right there, please? I think the batteries are on this one. I believe in integrity and I believe in character. We sent out 14 invitations and 2 people did not attend. One said they were not coming and the other didn't give a word one way or the other. And I think you need to take that in consideration when you go vote, okay? Because if they could respect your time to be here tonight to share with you, then the others should respect your vote when you go to vote for them on this upcoming week. Amen? So then I got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and let's give Miss Darlene a hand clap, man, for her contribution tonight. And for those persons who belong to Bridge Builders, will you please stand up so we can take a look at you tonight, amen, so they can see your smiling faces. Come on, Miss Nancy, stand up. Amen. Ms. Ursula, stand up. Amen. Aaron, stand up. Amen. These are just a few of the faces. Amen. And we hope and pray that as we continue to grow together as a community, then we can continue to see vibrant, positive, constructive, fruitful, productive change that benefits everybody. Amen. Okay? Now that I've said all that, let's pray. God, we thank you for this evening. For all that we've heard and shared in, we thank you. And for every candidate, oh God, who has given of their time tonight, we ask you to bless them 100-fold over. For every person who's come out tonight to hear what was shared, we ask you to bless them for their sacrifice. We know, Lord, that all things rest in your hands. And we just ask you now to lead and guide us in the way you would have us to go. Because if we do that, we cannot go wrong. Bless us in our travels on tonight. Let our homes be safer when we get back. Let our night be restful, and let our morning be fruitful to your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Y'all come and give them a handshake or say something to them if you want to. Just don't cuss them out in the church.
This is great. How'd it go from the back?
It went well. It went well.
Good. I thank you again for the opportunity.
I'm going to send you something. I'm going to send you something.
Okay.
For your service.
Fine.